the funds and to initiate an audit to do a deep dive of the service to determine whether or not those concerns were valid. Regarding your second question, so an audit was done of the city of Richmond, and the PCC played a role in that audit, and a recommendation regarding service improvements was done. We will be more than happy to send a copy of the actual audit and the action items associated with the audit for you to be able to read and come up to speed with. There will be further action items regarding this, and this is how the PCC plays a role in how the funds are used throughout the year.
If I may, just make a comment to that, Member Sanders. CCTA staff actually spent a considerable amount of time when the when the claim form was turned in and the subcommittee was asking for more information. CCTA staff actually reached out and worked with them a number of times to try to get as much information as possible, even before the audit.
I recall some of that discussion from the last meeting. My question was, what can we do to assist them to move forward, to successfully pursue their claims so that the services can be delivered to those to whom it's intended to be delivered?
A lot of that assistance is outlined in the report itself. We can go ahead and forward that to you. We are definitely working with the city of Richmond right now regarding this current claim. As Chair Clark mentioned, speaking with their consultants, with staff. We've given them quite a number of pieces of information also to review. So to their commendation, Richmond, the city of Richmond staff has been cooperative with us regarding some of the steps that they've had to take and some of the questions that they themselves has asked, trying to better understand their claim and better understand service. So the report will outline quite a number of steps that we're working with them. But there is a recommendation on the table, and that report will show you what that recommendation is.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Do you have any other comments or questions about the claim forms that have come in? Firstly, I would like to thank Vice Chair Smith and the other providers that were on the subcommittee. I was able to come in on a couple of them, obviously not with the city of San Pablo. It's extensive, it's a lot of information. I'd like to say, while it takes time, it's actually really informative on how people run, even just the way that they view some of the questions and how they answer. So we got a lot of information, and I found it really eye-opening in that sense. And I also wanted to say that the 6 that did provide kind of to your question, Member Noya, it was really extensive. Like the claim forms that came in were extensive. There was tons of backup. The backup matched what was in the report. You know what I mean? So I would just say, like, for mine, if I'm looking at that, I don't really have a question after reviewing those claim forms that the services are actually being, provided. So I would say that if the claim form is complete, and the information is there, that's just my opinion from reviewing them this year, that it would be pretty hard to fake not doing the service. So I just kind of wanted to make that comment. Yeah. Vice Chair Pella?
Yes, would love to comment to both new member Sanders and to, is it Sarah? Yes. It is vitally important that we, the riders, who depend on the service, at some point in time volunteer to help on these committees. I participated on these evaluations for the first time. And it was a tremendous, tremendous eye opener for me. I had the same kind of questions, new member Sanders, that you had when I came on the board, and to you, member Neuer. And it took me 2 to 3 years to begin to understand the process, but I never understood it until I volunteered to work on these evaluations with the committee. And I would strongly suggest that consider volunteering the next time these opportunities arise, because that is the way this PCC is going to be effective in helping to administer these funds so that they get to the people that need them the most. That's the end user, us. Okay.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the committee? Okay. If anyone from the public would like to speak, please raise your virtual hand and staff or I will call on you.
We do have a member.
Okay.
We have two. The first one, Jim, you're open to speak.
Pardon me, I had my hand up by mistake, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next guest, LaShonda Smith, I think it is.
Hi, good afternoon.
Shonda White, sorry.
It's okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. LaShonda White, Deputy City Manager with the City of Richmond. I have been listening to this item, and I know all of you are aware that the City of Richmond, because it was spoken about, is working with CCTA on an audit. I want to thank Rashida for all of her support in helping us kind of move through this process. And we know we have some upcoming deadlines. I do acknowledge that the City of Richmond's Measure J claim form for 24-25 is not included in the packet. It did get submitted in its entirety to Rashida on Friday. We do understand it is late, and that's why it's not in your packet. I just wanted to explain that the City of Richmond was in the process of changing its database from Route Match to a new one called VIA. And in the process, we lost some of that information and had to work with our IT department to gather the old information so we could populate the claim form. So we apologize for not being able to meet the deadline. It is in Rashida's hands, and we are hopeful and look forward to having a conversation about our claim form whenever it can come back before the PCC. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else from the public that would like to speak? No?
We have no other comment from the
Okay.
public, thank you.
Have we received any written, in-person, or remote public comments?
We have received no in-person remote comment at this time.
So do I have a motion and a second?
This is Member Noya. I move.
I'll second. And Birdwell seconds. Thank you so much.
I have a point of order. Are we
Yes.
allowed? The staff recommendation is to approve 6 out of 7 claims. And in the past, the committee, all members are allowed to vote on that staff recommendation.
We conduct a roll call vote?
Absolutely. Member Birdwell,
Yes.
Member Cooney,
Yes.
Member Nestor Brush,
Yes.
Member Noya,
Yes.
Member Thompson,
Yes.
Member Tillman,
Yes.
Member Vice Chair Smith,
Yes.
and Chair Clark. Okay, motion passes unanimously with members absent Dowd-Jelly, Green Roselle, Villa Vera, Perry, Queen, and Reese Brown.
Thank you. The next item is an informational item to be presented by Rashida Kamara to provide an update on the timeline of the Office of Accessibility and Equity.
Thank you. Am I allowed to share? Thank you. Unlike the last PCC meeting where I kept you here for hours, this is just an informational item. We thought that it was necessary to continuously bring to the PCC updates on the establishment of the Office of Accessibility and Equity. And today we're just bringing to you, we've brought this already to the Accessible Transportation Strategic Plan Task Force meeting, a timeline for the items associated with the establishment of the Office of Accessibility and Equity. So one of the first things that we talked about was adopting the Office of Accessibility and Equity as the new name for the coordinating entity. We're currently working on the structure, and we're hoping that the July working group and task force that we would be able to really roll this out. In addition to that, we have to build out operating documentation, staffing plans, financing and marketing, plus technology. We're hoping that between now and September, we will have some rough drafts to bring to a series of committees. The CCTA board has to adopt the Office of Accessibility, the name as the CE, along with the operating documents and the staffing plan. We're hoping that we will have something together between October and December. And we would like to launch the OAE, the Office of Accessibility and Equity, or the coordinating entity, somewhere beyond December. One of the largest projects associated with the establishment of the Office of Accessibility and Equity is the One Call, One Click call center. Nothing says that we are open for business than a call center where somebody can pick up the phone and call and get information. As you all know, for the past year and a half, we've been rolling out different services that have proved to be invaluable to our riders. And the One Call, One Click call center is one of those projects that were identified in the ATSP. And so launching that where individuals can call, get information, where our partner transit agencies can call and get information, where we can start gathering data to analyze, continuously analyze gaps in Contra Costa County, where we can continue to have a central hub where we collaborate with transit agencies to close gaps, where people can call to ask questions. Nothing says we're open for business than establishing that office and making sure that they can pick up the phone and actually call and get some kind of one-stop shop. This does not take away from anything that anybody else is doing, but what it does is that it continues to put the thread through everything, thus providing a real and true safety net for all transportation services in Contra Costa County that will benefit our riders. And so we just wanted an opportunity to update the PCC with a proposed timeline with some of the services that we were working on. And I'll be more than happy to take questions.
Thank you, Rashida. Any comments or questions from the committee? I do. I have one. We've been talking about it a lot, but or maybe in the next report, a little more detail on the one call, one click, as far as, I mean, representing also a transit operating agency, how that kind of, is that left for us to kind of figure out? Or is there a shell around that or a vision on how that would work?
There's definitely a vision on how that would work. The Office of Accessibility and Equity was something that was identified as a central point and location that would work with transit agencies, not only to identify the gaps, but collaborate with them in order to close the gaps. One of the strategies that was identified was this centralized location. And so the one call, one click call center acts almost like a two-way street. Not only can passengers call, passengers that are taking advantage of existing services, but passengers that may want to know about what services are available to them. And also transit agencies. During this process of establishing the one call, one click call center, we worked with several transit agencies. In fact, we have a working group that is made up of members of transit agencies. Member Noya happens to be a member of the working group. Member Perry from Tri Delta is a member of the working group. We have visited other transportation agencies to see how centralized they are, having different partners working with them. One of the transit agencies we visited, or one of the call centers that we visited, is East Bay Paratransit. East Bay Paratransit has a sort of central hub. They act not only as a call center, but as a dispatch office. They have multiple providers that feed into their system. And so we were able to visit so that something like that could be set up, not to schedule rides, but as a central hub for information, but also to analyze data. So as we continue to work with transportation agencies to say that we have identified a gap, sometimes those gaps are identified either by the transit agencies themselves. For those of you that are new to the PCC or the Measure J claims form, or for those of you who have been on the PCC and are familiar with the Measure J claims form, one of the documents on the Measure J claims form is called an unmet need. And during this particular process, we were relying on transit agencies to say, in your day-to-day operations, are there any passengers that you just cannot serve? What is the unmet need that you have identified? Well, with the one call, one click call center, not only are we going to be taking information from transit agencies about what they have not been able to do, but we will also be working to identify those unmet needs. And then the call center will be working with the transportation agencies in order to develop programs. Some of the unmet needs are the means-based fare program or the LIFE programs that we've managed to develop, the countywide travel training program, and a number of different strategies that were identified in the ATSP. So the one call, one click call center will be a central location in which there will be a lot of hubbub and buzz, and there'll be a lot of two-way traffic between call center, which will represent Contra Costa County Transportation Authority, and the transit agencies in order to not only identify the gaps, but come up with solutions in order to resolve them. We will also be helping passengers that might need help with trip planning. Somebody should be able to call our office if they cannot, use a computer or don't have a smartphone. We want to be able to get granular with our passengers. If for some strange reason a transit agency doesn't have a service and they said, you know what, we actually don't have a service, who do you transfer the passenger to? We want them to be able to say, you know what, let me transfer you to the OAE. And let's see if they'll be able, and maybe we know of a service that this particular transit agency's call center may not know about. And if we are able to identify a gap in that particular moment, it may take 20 days or 21 days or 30 days. We may not be able to offer something right away, but at least we would have documented it so that we can work on program implementation so that we can close these types of gaps. So there are several ways in which the one call, one click call center will be assisting not only transportation agencies, but more importantly, our passengers in Contra Costa County.
Thank you.
And we'll
I
be
really
more than happy to in the next. No problem. I was going to say that we'll be more than happy in the next meeting or even before that to spend more time and information giving you about how the one call, one click call center works. The last time we did an update on programs, we spoke a little bit more about that. And I think we may have also mentioned that CCTA was the recipient of a $1 million grant to enhance technology associated with our one call, one click call center. And so there's a lot that Contra Costa Transportation Authority is putting into this particular venture.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Do we have any other comments or questions on this item? Okay. If anyone from the public would like to speak, please raise your hand, your virtual hand. Staff or I will call upon you. And Deanna, have we received any written in-person or remote public comments?
We have not received any written in-person or remote public comment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that concludes our regular agenda items. We'll move on to reports. Has anyone attended the most recent East Bay Paratransit Access Committee meeting? And would they like to provide a report?
Well, I staffed the committee.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
we met in July and we were provided with a broker report. We review, fourth quarter information for fiscal year 23-24 versus fourth quarter information from last year. And we are seeing a slow but steady increase in our ridership. We're about 75% of pre-COVID numbers right now. We also received an update from our quality assurance compliance manager, Jasher Nolan, regarding East Bay Paratransit's eligibility process and East Bay Paratransit's participation in regional efforts to standardize the eligibility process throughout the region.
Thank you. Has anybody attended the Senior Mobility Action Council? Oh, excellent.
I was
Member
trying,
Noya.
yes, good afternoon. I was trying to reference the minutes. Actually, I'll be attending their meeting tomorrow as well.
Excellent.
But the highlights from what I can reference, my memory's very spotty. Rashida was invited, so she did give a presentation on paratransit audit related to City of Richmond. And well, this committee already knows a lot about that, so. And then we did have an ongoing discussion brainstorm session with regards to a survey that has been drafted, wherein we will be seeking more information about the different transit agencies here in Contra Costa with regards to the impact that COVID had and what sorts of different measures we had to change or add on as a result, and just pretty much dealing with that type of a emergency. And yeah, so that's an ongoing thing. And I know that tomorrow we'll have, I believe, I don't know her title, Rashida, you can help me, but her name's Jennifer Cannon, and she's with the Office of Emergency Services. So I'll have more to share next time.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Does anybody have anything else they want to share related to transportation and any committees that they serve on?
I do.
Okay, Member Noya.
County Connection. Yeah, I am so excited and happy to report that at our upcoming board meeting, we have, I want to say about 4, maybe even 5 advisory committee members that will be approved. They were appointed by their respective jurisdictive cities and towns. So we have a total of 11 seats representing Central Contra Costa, and I believe 75% will be filled, maybe even a little bit more.
That's
I'm
great.
totally excited about that.
Excellent. Thank you. It is a big deal. Yes, absolutely. Anything else? Okay. Well, thank you. There was no correspondence in our packet. So we'll move on to future agenda items. Anybody have any suggestions for future agenda items?
I don't have any suggestions. I had a question.
Yes.
Last meeting, we were asked about joining other subcommittees. And I just wondered if anybody, we all decided on that yet? Mainly bylaws.
Yes.
Yes, actually, yes. I was wondering where we are at with that subcommittee specifically.
Staff? I know they sent out requests.
Correct. We actually have a number of people that, I think we have about 3 people that volunteered for bylaws. I don't know the names off the top of my head, but we did have, some individuals, volunteer for that. And more is coming down the pipeline regarding the bylaws, of which we'll share at the next PCC.
Excellent. Yes, that was going to be my request, is that we have an update on bylaws on the next agenda. Anything else?
I do have a member from the public
Yes.
with their hand up.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is Jim Donnelly. I'm the current vice president of the Advisory Council on Aging, and I'm the current chair of the Senior Mobility Action Council. So I appreciate what Rosa so well said. Just a little more tomorrow, we're having Jennifer come in from the Office of Emergency Services. And what we're looking at is what we've learned and where we're going forward on emergency services in the future, how that impacts our different transportation units throughout the county, both the county run and our volunteer ones. So that's kind of what we're starting to dig into tomorrow. And then that fits into the survey we're trying to do to figure out how we fit that in with some of the work that OES is doing now. So hopefully we'll find out a lot tomorrow at our meeting. So just wanted to give you an update. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything about future agenda items? Does staff I'm guessing we'd get an update if we can form a subcommittee, get an update on the Richmond claim. I don't know if that's going to be available because our next meeting would be
Yes.
September, right?
So yes, we will not be able to form a subcommittee in the month of August. And so as a result, we will not have a claims form reviewed and ready for recommendation in September. Richmond has been made aware of the constraints as a result of this delay. So they have shared with us that they understand that. So we will be reaching out to the members. There are a lot of vacations, time offs, illnesses, unfortunately deaths in the families that we've had to kind of maneuver around. And so as a result, we've had to push it out. So we probably won't get a committee together until September.
Thank you. I'm going to throw out there as a paratransit operator that I can do a update on the 1-seat ride from the San Pablo Senior Center to the Martinez Medical Center at the next meeting. Because it's happening. So I can give an update. And Rashida also, like you'd said, the 1-click, 1-call, you might have a little bit more information. You guys are always saying that you'll give us more. So I think we'd all kind of decided that that was a good standing agenda item so that we're always kind of keeping up on that and the movement of the Office of Accessibility and Equity. So So if anyone, we already started, but I want to make sure if anyone from the public would like to speak, please raise your virtual hand and staff or I will call upon you regarding future agenda items. Deanna, have we received any written, in-person, or remote public comments?
We have not received any written in-person or remote public comments.
Okay, so that concludes our meeting. The meeting is adjourned at 2:54 p.m. Because it's here. Next regular meeting, September 16th at 2 o'clock. Thank you all so much.